Hello, so I decided I should probably do another build video. I haven't done one in a long time. So I'm working on a project that I'm nearing the end of the prototyping stage. It is a device that I've named the Switch 64. What it is it is it's an attempt at making a Nintendo Switch that plays N64 games. So it is, this is the core of the Switch 64. You can see definitely prototyping, duct tape, foam core board, that sort of thing. It's got a switch on the top to turn it on and off. So I could turn on. It's a Raspberry Pi is what actually runs it. So we have a Raspberry Pi. We have a battery pack on the, well, this is my left, so left-hand side. You can see the indicator for charge. It's 4 dots for fully charged, 0 for not charged. It uses RetroPie, which is a emulation package type thing. It uses that to run an N64 emulator and then N64 games. The RetroPie works, but I don't have it completely working in the sense that the controllers are proven to be a bit of a pain. But so once it starts up, goes to the command line, so you do have to use a keyboard in order to run RetroPie, in order to run the Switch 64, which is a little bit of a pain. But you need to use the keyboard to go in, and you have to start the desktop to pair Bluetooth to the controllers. They're Bluetooth controllers that I'm building. And then you have to log out of the desktop and then use the keyboard to start up RetroPie, or we'll start up Emulation Station, which is all the emulators and everything. And then if you have a ROM file in there, you can run it and play it. I'm actually going to turn it off so I don't waste battery. Well, I can just use the switch, that's fine. So the video just stopped there. I don't know where it stopped, but picking up where I left off. It's a 7-inch Raspberry Pi touchscreen. It's a Pi. It is a battery pack. That's about it. And then there's some wiring, so I have the switch go from the battery pack to the Raspberry Pi, so on and so forth. The controllers. So this is a prototype of a right-hand controller. 9-volt battery plugs in here, goes in the back. There's going to be a panel that goes over the back. And then you have, these are the C buttons. So up, this is my left, right, down. And then you have, I think it's B and A. I can never remember which one is which on an N64 controller, which is sad considering I played N64 for my entire childhood. And then you have the right bumper here. The left-handed controller, it's the same theory. It's a box, it's got a 9-volt battery. This is your joystick. You then have the start button, you've got the D-pad, and you've got your left bumper. These are and you've got the Z trigger here. The controllers are designed to look like Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. So eventually, they're a little bit bigger right now. I'm going to try and actually make my own they use Arduinos to run. What it is all these components are hooked up to an Arduino Uno, which then uses a Bluetooth module, sends it to the Raspberry Pi, a Python script on the Raspberry Pi interprets that as key presses or mouse movements, or mouse clicks, which then will be configured in RetroPie to act as a controller. Okay, so I just stopped and restarted the video, that's why there's a little jump, just so it doesn't randomly stop on me again. I don't know how long this program records for. But anyway, so these are these are modeled after Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, but the button layout is of a N64 controller. So when you're holding an N64 controller, the Z button is your left hand, and that also is the joystick, because that's the middle thing. Your right hand goes on the right-hand side, which has A, B, C buttons. So, and the D-pad is far left. So that's why I put the D-pad down here. Since the start button's right above the joystick, put the start button near the joystick, and then I have, Z trigger, and then you've got the bumpers and everything. So I kind of mapped it so it feels like you're using an N64 controller. But these right now, it's kind of disproportionate in size. You can see, if I can hold this. They're a bit bigger than the actual Switch 64. The idea, what I'm planning to do is, the reason is, I've got the Arduino Uno in there, and then I have a breadboard that everything connects to. And that proves to be a little bit of a problem because it takes up a lot of space, and also what takes up space is, in order to get the 9-volt battery on it, I can't show you on any of these. Well, maybe I can do this one. Yeah, I can do this one. In order to get the 9-volt battery to plug into the Arduino, there's a plug to a power port on the Arduino Uno. No big deal. Except that plug, you can kind of see it on, I think that's your right, that red wire. The plug sticks out the front of the Arduino, which proves to be a little bit of a pain when you're trying to save space. So I need to, it extends out the back, you also have to fit the battery, that sort of thing. So I'm going to try and build a small PCB that's like an Arduino Shield, slots on into the top of it, and that will be the controllers. So those are the components I have now. On the Switch 64, you can see all the Pi's ports are accessible. That way you can plug in a keyboard, that sort of thing, when you're starting it up. We have this button is accessible here. This is on the battery pack. The reason is, if I click it, displays the battery level. I haven't built the prototype of the dock yet. I'm going to finish the Switch 64 and then do the dock. We have the Pi's HDMI port accessible there, and this allows you to access it more easily. You can flip that up, flip it down. It's hinged by a piece of tape right now. But so that's all the features of it. Oh, and you can, from this port, charge your battery pack. So my next step is, to 3D print it. I do not have a 3D printer, but the university I go to gives me access to one. And I can't decide, do I get, very thin sheets of plastic off Amazon and try and actually just build a case for the Switch 64, or do I try and 3D print it? Because 3D printing, if I get something wrong, I'm kind of screwed. Either I reprint it, or I really try and fix it and then finagle with it. If I'm building it, I can have all my measurements. I've got a digital caliper, all sorts of things. The problem is, it's not going to look as nice as 3D printed. It's not going to be as exact. So I think I am going to print it. I'm just going to need to get all the measurements I have, because right now I'm using foam core board for the controllers and everything, and Switch 64, and it's a 1/4 inch thick. So it's adding a lot of size to this. The controllers are long, which is a problem. I'm thinking, if this does end up being similar to the final size of the Switch 64 controllers, I am going to extend this height-wise so that it matches. And I'm thinking I might extend it down on the bottom. And I can move like the Raspberry Pi and stuff down. I'm going to extend it on the bottom, that way you have the screen kind of on the top, or I might do it still in the middle, I don't know yet. I want to build a kickstand for it, I need to build the dock, but yeah, so that's, also I am going to be 3D printing colored buttons for all these, so it matches up with the N64 buttons. Those are just not placeholders, those are buttons they're most likely going to be the ones that are going to be used. I might have to resolder connections for them. But the idea is I will 3D print essentially a button cover that goes on top of it, so it looks like those that you find on N64. But so yeah, that's a project I'm working on. I'm going to be uploading more videos as time goes on and I make more progress. But that's the plan. Right now, I will keep you guys on this channel in the loop, and we'll see what happens with it.